George Russell arrived at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix with his whole speech rehearsed and went off on Max Verstappen, who had called him two-faced a week earlier. The British media greatly approved of this, lapping it all up and being keen to poke the fire a bit more. My question is George Russell doing himself any favours by taking the invitation to this feud? I'm Wimbo. Here's 3 seconds to leave a like. Okay, content creators were tumbling over each other to make videos about this. So the story is well known. For those who were living under a rock, I'll do a quick recap of what happened. Verstappen drove slow on the racing line during qualifying at the Qatar Grand Prix, knowing no drivers were on a hot lap. George Russell decided to drive to the back of Verstappen, made a dramatic move and said that it was dangerous. Verstappen set his first pole time since Austria and was surprised to be called into the stewards. Russell was very chatty and pally on the way to the stewards, but once inside the steward's office, he put on a Meryl Streep-like performance, pulling in all kinds of conjecture to sway the stewards to take pole away from Verstappen. Max Verstappen, straight shooter as he is, didn't like this very much and told Russell to his face that he'd be in the lead by turn 1, and more along those lines. What Russell didn't expect was that Verstappen would also speak up about his two-faced behaviour after the race, which he won. Congrats on the pole, George. Verstappen said that he was done with Russell and he lost all respect for him. He wanted to make sure Russell stayed away from him instead of the phony hugs and what have you. Russell only discovered these comments from Verstappen after the race and started preparing his end plea like what happens in every John Grisham book. Mercedes had set up a private meeting with the press, and when a reporter finally asked about Max Verstappen, it was time to shine. It's too much to repeat here, but Russell's speech went from the 2021 season to 2024, Verstappen's aggression towards Ocon in 2018, Michael Masi having to fear for his life, and Verstappen threatening to put him on his head in a f***ing wall, even when Qatar has no walls, and more. What makes this story unbelievable is that George Russell said that Max had said that he was going to let him by if he hadn't made this big spectacle at the stewards. Okay, George. Sure, Max is going to let you by. Max Verstappen doubled down on his words again in Abu Dhabi, and that's about it so far. It's a nice bit of spice towards the end of the season. George Russell thinks he did a thing, but I can't wait for him to find out what the actual consequences are. Well, he already found out at the annual drivers' dinner organised by Lewis Hamilton in Abu Dhabi. Although Russell is getting the obvious support from the race, Autosport, Motorsport and Will Buxton, the support that really matters isn't there. He was hoping for support from his peers. However, the other drivers find this whole ordeal very amusing and pretty much snicker behind Russell's back. This was also during the annual dinner, where Russell was the last one to arrive. He was probably talking to himself in the mirror, preparing scenarios which might occur during dinner. He didn't expect the only seat available would be the one next to his mortal enemy Max, who pleasantly said, "Hello George," inviting him to sit next to him. George Russell could have put his money where his mouth is and accepted the invitation, but instead he declined, grabbed a chair and sat next to his teammate Lewis Hamilton. The teammate that didn't want him as a teammate because he preferred to have Valtteri Bottas next to him in the Mercedes seat. Something that Peter Windsor talks about on a regular basis in his podcast with Cameron. He says that Hamilton's demise has everything to do with Toto Wolff's choice to promote Russell from Williams to Mercedes. I can see why now. I can imagine Russell making a PowerPoint presentation to present which direction the setup needs to go, even if it's the opposite of what Lewis Hamilton wants. I think Russell's presence helped Lewis Hamilton to decide to go to Ferrari. Anyway, I'm wandering off here. I don't want to sound like Georgie boy here. So Russell was hoping for full-blown support from his fellow drivers, but instead, a lot of jokes were made. Colapinto and Piastri were making fun of the whole situation on stage with the beautiful Ariana Bravo. I think all drivers know about this over-the-top persona that is George Russell, and it doesn't bother them as long as he does the extra work as the director of the GPDA, which is a job, in my opinion, as honourable as being a parking warden. You only do it if you can't be a police officer, or, in this case, a world champion. So where George Russell was hoping for a lot of support from the rest of the grid, he's made into a bit of entertainment. This was also pointed out by Lando Norris, who said he respected them both, but didn't want the bickering to stop because it was fun. The benefit Max Verstappen gets out of pointing out this weaselly behavior is that whenever he does it again, it will be highlighted. He might think twice before putting on a show again, especially if it concerns Verstappen. It's all fun for the other drivers now, but I'd like to see Lewis Hamilton in a Ferrari being hampered with a situation like this. It'll be entertaining for us and the rest of the grid, but not for George Russell. So there you go, George. The whole class is laughing, but not on your behalf. Even bringing up AD21 didn't give you the support from your teammate. And I don't think they fear you more on track either. That's the next topic. Max Verstappen has been in F1 for 10 years now, and one thing has never changed, and that is his fearless driving. The British media crying about it didn't stop him. The occasional penalties from the FIA didn't stop him. Lewis Hamilton putting him in a wall didn't stop him. And George Russell's feeble attempt to sort it out in the steward's room with theatrics definitely won't stop him. If anything, he's putting more pressure on himself now. We can't wait for the next battle on track to unfold between Verstappen and Russell. We'll all sit forward in our chair to see how it will go. Now, Max Verstappen will be unbothered and extra focused when it happens. He lives for racing like that. We see it time and again. The Verstappen haters may say he's the worst when it comes to wheel-to-wheel racing, but the results tell you otherwise. Even if he doesn't win, there's a net profit through his racing, as seen in Mexico against Norris. Max Verstappen will race Russell as hard as he races anyone without thinking twice. No problemo. George Russell, however, is known to have bottled quite a few races under pressure. I saw a compilation of weird incidents that he was in, and it doesn't look good. The theatre he did at the stewards, he also does inside of the car, blaming everyone else and bringing up all kinds of angles that nobody else sees. I can totally imagine a Max versus George fight where he's all tense and nervous and makes mistakes. Max Verstappen will take advantage of that, as he always does. Verstappen is the moral winner already, and that will show on track too. Russell fancies himself as the next guy to take it to Verstappen, as Lewis Hamilton did in 2021. But somehow I see more of a street fighter in Hamilton. Seeing how Russell behaves, I'm starting to appreciate the 7-time world champion more. I can't believe I just said that. George Russell is not that guy. I think he just made it an awful lot harder on himself by escalating this situation. He would have been better diffusing this matter and doing his talking on track. Everyone will enjoy this battle except Russell, and he has his own future to think about as well. Russell seems cemented at Mercedes for a while to come. He's getting a rookie teammate who shows potential, but will need time to grow. Kimi Antonelli looks up to Max Verstappen, and the funny thing is that even with the bad press Verstappen is getting, those youngsters love him. Franco Colapinto, Gabriel Bortoleto and Liam Lawson all speak highly of Max and praise him for being so nice and down to earth. Antonelli will have to deal with the politician Russell in the next coming years, and that will promise some fireworks too. The F1 grid is like a sewing circle, and those guys talk about each other all the time. I don't think Russell has gained any respect for acting the way he did. Those guys only look at on-track performances. Young Oliver Behrman said he watched the Verstappen Brazil 2016 race to see which lines he took. I don't think anyone has ever dusted off an old Russell race. Maybe the Spa 2021 qualifying session, that was a good one. Russell, with his 3 wins, isn't looked up to as they look up to Max Verstappen. That's a simple fact. Now, what was surprising to see was that Toto Wolff was present at the Mercedes press meeting. He was hoping for some questions too. He did get some questions but steered away from Max and George, saying the drivers need to sort that out themselves. But he did see an opportunity to have a go at Christian Horner. But I'm not interested in that, because that's so 2022. What was interesting is that Toto Wolff would have slammed Max Verstappen hard for his driving and his attitude and what have you. This time he didn't, and I think it's because he wants to leave the door open for Max Verstappen to join Mercedes. He knows that if the car lacks a tenth here and there, Max Verstappen can compensate that and go for the prices. So if that happens for 2026 or during that season, where does that leave Russell? He can't partner with Verstappen the way things stand now. So he'll either need to patch things up or he'll need to go. Come to think of it, maybe Russell wasn't so keen on Toto Wolff's flirting with Max Verstappen the whole time in 2024. And that's why he's lashed out so much. There's so much going on here. I love it. In any case, this stuff is brilliant to watch, and it's a pity the season is over. I'll be following this closely and I will be reporting on it next season. Subscribe if you don't want to miss anything. Take care now. Doei doei.